Call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members first. Robert Grodzic, Zella Rempel, and I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. The assessor today is Doug Stratton. Is Arca coming in or?
No, it's not.
Okay. And our administrative assistant today will be Kelsey Harrison. We'll be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application and will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicants may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicants may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Swear them in, please. Oh, who's first? I guess we should do that. 131 Ridgedale. You pulled the lucky card today. Number 6. Mr. Patterson.
Do you swear? Could you please state your name? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Would you like to swear in or affirm with him?
Yes.
Could you please state your name?
Dina Holiday.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence?
I do.
Thanks. Doug, you go first. Light it up.
Just a preliminary issue. The assessor was assigned to the hearing originally, had requested an inspection, and it didn't pan out, so I'm requesting that 53.3 of the municipal assessment act be applied to the reversal. There's been previous Board of Revision decisions where there was the reversal. If you needed a copy, just requesting the reversal.
Is there a penalty with that?
Pardon?
Is there a penalty with the 53.3?
No.
You're just asking for reversal.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with the reversal where you go first? Because they didn't see the property, and this way they'll have the information that you're presenting. Or do you want them to go first?
I have no problem going first. Sorry,
That's
I
what
didn't
you're asking
understand
for?
what 53.
Yeah, it was just previous board orders where the assessor requested the 53.3 be applied, just for the reversal bonus.
And you just want, but there's no penalty even if we do it?
No, not at all.
Okay, we'll just make sure there's no penalty.
Okay, penalty, what would the penalty be? What does he do?
The penalty rule is 53.
I'm not familiar with that section exactly. So.
Yeah, 53.3 is just, previous assessor had requested an inspection, but violence with the homeowners Not available for an inspection prior to the hearing date, and that was as of November 12th. He put in a request and it didn't occur, so
Okay.
he suggested that, or he would have requested that 53-3 be applied.
Yeah, this way you'll have the information from her at her bid.
I'm sorry, I'm still not clear on what the penalty would be, Phil?
There is no penalty.
No, not on this,
Okay.
not on
No.
53.
I think it just changes the burden.
It just
of proof.
changed the
It
burden
just
of
means
proof.
you go first.
The burden of proof is on you,
Burden of proof is on me.
Yes, rather than the assessor.
right?
Is that contrary, is that not contrary to the municipal assessment act?
Isn't that a non-co-op?
No.
It's
Let me
in
see it just a minute, sir. Pass me the book.
Right here, I got it.
You got 53.
Because that's a non-cooperation request, which there is.
There is a penalty on that.
Yeah, so that doesn't make
It's not a,
sense.
we don't want a 53 then.
Yeah.
There's the other, the board revision order requested the assessor for application of 53-3A.
A.
It's allowed, if you'd like to see copies of it.
Sure. Thank you.
Kelsey.
Am I supposed to pass this along?
You can, here's another
Oh,
copy.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, this is my email. Unfortunately, the homeowners were out of town, and they were not going to be available before the hearing.
So is there a penalty?
It's not that they aren't cooperative. They didn't deny access, they weren't available.
We're gonna need some time to discuss it. You guys have enough information, or you wanna ask some questions?
I mean, I was cooperative in the fact that I sent photographs, I sent information ahead of time, like, well, within a couple of days, matter of fact, of this email. I submitted information to ARCA, who was the original assessor that had been assigned to the property. All of that information was provided to him by email.
Subsequent to November the 12th, 2019.
That's right, within a few days. I can find the actual email if you'd like. I didn't print it out. I think I was 1 week prior. But I submitted all of my information, or preliminary information, to ARCA shortly thereafter. And then it wasn't actually until, I think I followed up on last Thursday, maybe it was, and found out that ARCA was not going to be representing the property at this hearing. And then I contacted the assessor, that's present here today, to have a discussion, hopefully prior to this hearing. And he indicated that he was busy and wasn't able to get back to me until this morning, which I didn't have any other communications. Sorry, it'll just take me a minute to find the.
Right, you're sure there's no penalty, right? Other than reverse?
Not that I'm aware of.
But
Just
there
like
is reverse
Just
almost,
like the
right?
municipal
Yeah.
board, same reversal.
I'm not comfortable with the fact that if the burden of proof is on me, that's contrary to the Municipal Assessment Act, that's
I'm
my
not-
knowledge, so.
Not if
Not if we
53-3 is
accept
applied.
it. If the case applies to the 53-1, then the reversal would go. It would just give us a few minutes to have our discussion.
Yeah.
Should we?
At the moment, there's not that many.
Oh, so the, I'm just.
Oh, we'll step out, you know what? We'll step
I
out.
step
have,
out.
Oh, 1
so
second.
the
1
full
second, I'm still
information,
talking.
sorry, the full information provided to ARCA with my preliminary submission was sent on November the 13th, so the day after we had this email exchange.
Is that included in your evidence that you're about to provide today? Because
That-
we're not supposed to be looking at,
That
your cell
email?
phone information.
That email
No,
is not in,
but she can give it verbally too.
Okay, all right.
But I think what's at issue is the assessor wanted to look at the property and couldn't get access to it, is that right?
right, but it wasn't that it was denied, it
No,
was the fact
no.
that the
No, no.
homeowners were not available.
Right.
Is that correct? Did Arca try again to get another date, or?
Yes, from what, the notes I had, that there was a request to do the interior inspection. And, as, she mentioned that, I assume for personal reasons, they couldn't
But they're not
make
They
arrangements,
were away.
but when it came to 3 weeks worth of time, we just felt that over that period, length of time, that arrangements could possibly be made.
How long was Mr. Patterson out of town? I hate to ask the question.
I'm sorry, I don't know his personal schedule. He didn't tell me that.
But he was out of town.
That's what he indicated.
Okay.
He's not available.
Shut down, we're gonna have a little discussion. Call the meeting back to order. We'll be denying the city's request, so you can go first.
Okay. Okay, roll number 0100258 4100131 Ridgedale Crescent. It's a in the Ridgedale neighborhood. It's a different, unique property built in 1959. Living area, approximately 9,400 square feet. It does have full basement under part of the house. Some of it is on surface foundation. It's basement type, full part. Our records show that there's no basement development. To the best of my knowledge, that there has been some development in the basement. Records show there's 5 washrooms, 5 3-piece washrooms, 4 half baths, 5 fireplaces there, multiple garage, detached garage as well. It's a river lot property. It is, our records show that it's approximately 80,000 square foot lot. I believe there was an aerial photo supplied, possibly. It just shows you the location of the property. It's very unique compared to most homes. The 2020 assessment, $2.184 million, or $232 a square foot. The assessor supplied 4 comparables, variety of areas, so Tuxedo, Wilkes, and Old Tuxedo. What he was aiming at was square footage, higher square footage the better. He was aiming towards the 9,000 square foot. A couple of them are 2-story properties. Age varies, 1980 up to the newest property is 2012 on Loudon Road. Lot sizes, 4,500 up to just under 10,000 square feet. You'll see the basement style, full part or full. There is basement development in all of them, all the comparables. Washroom count up there as well, 7, 5, 6, 9 washrooms, fireplaces, central air, very similar features. All of them do have attached garages, and to see 3 out of 4 do have outdoor swimming pools. Lot sizes, 22,000 up to the Loudon Road property, 131,000 square feet. For the sale prices, comparable number 1, for example, Park East, sold for $3.3 5 million. The sale date was October 2017, time adjusted sale price, a bit higher than the original sale price. The time adjustment brings the sale price to what it may have sold for April 1st, 2018. Not a huge difference, but there's a bit of an increase, and the same applies to the other properties, Loudon, Hansard, and Park West properties. So we feel that the $2,184,000 is what the property may have sold for April 2018. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor before you make your presentation?
Just a couple of questions on the comparable sales. Excuse me. 649 Park Boulevard East, are you aware of any substantial renovation that has taken place at that property?
Yes, there is. If you see there is an effective age applied to the property, or we are aware that there was upgrades to the property.
Okay, do you know what year those would have been completed?
Offhand, I don't. I didn't know the
I
purpose.
checked the building permits, there were
Yeah.
no building permits, so just, from what I understand, are you aware that there's like an aquarium inside that needs like scuba diving to, you know, access to clean and things like that? Like it's a pretty spectacular property, from what I understand.
Yes, it's got a variety of options. Thus resulting in the 3.5 million.
Loudon Road, I guess, you know, the lot size is fairly similar, but with respect to the age and the size of the house, plus the fact that there's no sewer and water, would you say that that would be strong comparable, or what weight would you put on that?
It's again, using for square footage, it's a totally different location. The Loudon property doesn't, it doesn't have the sewer water services, which is a downfall. It's not located on it's not a riverbank property. So it kind of outweighs it is a newer property, much newer property, but, which is an advantage versus downward, there's no city sewer water services, and, that's why the sale price, I'm sure the lack of, location made a difference.
So not a great comparable then?
Yeah, the 2 million is, a lower value of the property. It could be, lifted over onto a riverbank property, I'm sure it would sell for additional funds.
But it's also only, when this property sold, it was only 4 years old too, correct?
Correct.
Then just with respect to, I guess let's look at column number 4, because on the surface it looks like it's, you know, similarly built, 1956. We have an effective age of 1990. Have you been in that property? Have you, or are you aware when the renovations were completed?
Yes, it was a permit, there was an addition, that's why there's an effective age. The assessor was only allowed to access the new addition. He wasn't allowed, or the owner wouldn't allow the inspection of the original section of the property.
Okay, so are you aware that the original portion of 7,000 square feet was literally gutted right down to the studs?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you've got like a pool and a sport court and 1.5 acres on the front onto the park there. So would that be similar value?
It would be effective age. Does make a big difference with the addition and upgrades that have occurred over the years. Again, it sold for 4.5 million, which I agree is the property would be worth more. Thus, the 4.5 million versus the subject property being just over 2 million.
And are you aware that this property at 550 Park Boulevard, all in, including the original purchase price, well in excess of $11 million by the time the renovations and addition and everything were completed.
Yes. And there's out of interest, there's an artificial ice rink in the backyard as well, so it's, for some people, that'd be a deterring factor. Just like swimming pools, you know?
It's a sport court, so
Yeah.
seasonal
Yeah.
hockey rink, tennis court, basketball, whatever your sport is. That's all, I have no other questions.
Robert, you have any questions?
Well, I'm trying to figure out which you would consider to be the best comparable in all this. They're all, to me, either by location or amenities or description.
It was,
Hard to find one that I could
yeah,
think is
it's,
better than the others.
it's difficult. The part that he was looking for was, to try and narrow it down, was the lot size and the size of the dwelling itself. It's a different area, but the park, comparable one, the 649 Park East, it's up towards the similar square footage. Comparable for, very close to the square footage, but that property, it's very, it's a unique property, and the quality of workmanship performed on that property was done very well, which I'm sure resulted in over the 4 million mark. So I was leaning more towards the comparable number one. Loudon Road, it's out in the open,
Okay.
it's lacking services, septic tanks, emptied bi-weekly, so it's more of a country neighborhood, whereas the subject property is very private neighborhood.
So the subject property is the only one that's on the river, and how does that, is that a big plus in terms of setting value, or it's yes or no? Is it like a swimming pool in your mind, in terms of the assessment, or?
Riverbank properties in the past, some parts of the city, it really does influence the people on the positive side. They're willing to pay more. River lot sales, some parts of the city, there's so much erosion going on, it's a negative factor. There's been no report of riverbank erosion on this property. It hasn't been brought to our attention. But people do seem to enjoy living on the river.
Okay, thanks.
Gisela?
I'm wondering, do you have any sale history on this property at all? I see it was built in 1959, but
From what I understand, it's been in the family for
100 years.
since that
decades.
time,
Yeah.
okay. Would you be able to tell me, do you have any information about any building permits on this property at all?
You know, I believe there was permits. I didn't bring them with me. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But I can't confirm that with those.
Do you know if any requests have been made for inspections in the past, in previous years?
From what I understand, there was, I don't know if it's a 2016 appeal. I think I can't speak on behalf of the other assessor, but I know photographs were sent out to him or her at that point, but to the best of my knowledge, it wasn't an inspection. I could very well be wrong.
Okay, thank you, that's all my questions.
This area, Doug, are you aware of any possible flood mitigation that might have been done on it after 97?
Yeah, I'm aware that there has been erosion issues. I haven't inspected the property myself.
Do you know if was there any flood mitigation put in after the flood though? 'Cause
I can't confirm. I'm sorry.
we don't know that.
That hasn't, to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't been brought forward to us to make us aware of it.
Okay.
Maybe someday I'll be out inspecting, take a walk around.
Take a walk around. Let's see what the appellant has to say about the property.
Okay, thank you. So as the assessor mentioned, the property was built in 1959. It had a renovation, fairly substantial renovation in 2007, but there's also still portions of the original house in place. So it wasn't like 550 Park Boulevard that was completely gutted and had an addition and, you know, was completely renovated. Some of the rooms are still original from 1959. The basement, although it's full under the original house, the original house is a fraction of the size, the footprint of the existing house. If you look on the very back page of my hearing brief, you can see some photographs there, and it's very dated, you know, probably 1970s type of finish that is basically just nothing but storage closets and some storage facilities, you know, a cedar closet and that type of thing. So the ceiling height is also very, not what would be considered to be normal for today's standards. It's about, I would say, about 7 feet where it's finished. So it's suitable for storage. There's no windows or anything of that nature in the basement, so it's not like the home at Loudon Road or Hansard or Park. Actually, Park Boulevard only has a part basement as well, but it was part of the renovation. And Park Boulevard East was also had a proper, full proper basement as well that was fully finished. So there's absolutely no opportunity for finishing this basement and, recovering money on it at all. Although to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any flood mitigation action taken along the riverbank. It's heavily treed, and that's, I guess the best natural flood mitigation is to maintain the health of those trees, so you maintain the riverbank. However, the property itself, the dwelling itself, is built below what would be considered to be flood levels nowadays. So that would definitely be something that would be taken into consideration by any potential purchaser. I just have a little bit of information about the MLS information at that time. So 2 years prior to April 1st, 2018, the reference date, the highest sale on MLS was 2.46 million. So the properties that have been presented by the assessor are with private sales, with the exception of comp number 2 on Loudon Road. As the assessor also mentioned, this property has undergone numerous appeals recently. Some have, I think they've all been agreed reductions with the assessment department. They haven't been board orders. So the most recent one in 2016 was a reduction to $2 million. And so I believe that I think it's over a 9.7% increase that's been applied to that $2 million figure, 9.2 increase from 2016, which seems outrageous considering the fact that these types of properties just don't increase in value over 2 years correspondingly with that percentage level. So on page, sorry, I didn't have an opportunity to mark these with page numbers, but on page 4 and 5 of my hearing brief, I have detailed 6 comparable sales. So I'll just run through them very quickly. The analysis is basically on page number 2 and 3. So Kerslake Drive is located in South Tuxedo, similar type area, although on a smaller lot, so it would be considered to be an inferior site value for sure. This property was 7,200 square feet. It was built in 1997. Plus the 7,200 square feet, it also, I believe, had like a 2,000 square foot indoor pool as well. So I'm a little, kind of not concerned, but leaves me with a question of why that sale wasn't considered by the city when we have a property that was seemingly in the most similar sale in size to the subject property. That one sold in August of 2016 for $1.275 million. And it had a full basement finish as well. It was a little bit inferior, certainly, actually, it was definitely inferior in age and condition the overall, because it was fairly dated inside, but it was, again, really good quality materials. and I think it was 19 years old when it sold. 24 Deersley Place is also located in South Tuxedo, although on an inferior site. Sorry, my sales got mixed up here. I printed them off, I see. Sorry, so 24 Deersley Place, it's located in South Tuxedo, 5,500 square feet, and that property was built in 2003, making it 13 years old when it sold. And it was in, I would say, overall superior condition. It was actually owned by some friends of mine at the time, the prior sale. And it was in really good condition, had a full basement with full finish as well. It did back on to Shaftesbury Boulevard, so it was an inferior location. 780 South Drive, it's located in Fort Garry and near St. John's Ravenscourt and on a river site. That property was built in the 1980s and it sold for $1.59 million in April 2015. It had a nice big deep river lot, 85 by 388 feet. And it was built, 27 years old when sold, but it was in pretty good condition from what I can see. It also had an indoor pool of about 1,500 square feet as well. So although it's, the size on the listing was 5,200 square feet, there was also some additional square footage with the indoor pool. 229 Empire Street is located in South Headingley. It's on, I use this one just because it has a similar rural feel to it. It's got just over 1 acre of riverfront lot. This property was a timber frame home that was built in 2013, so it was only a couple years old when it actually sold in August of 2015. And that property sold for $2.1 million. And it was 5,500 square feet, and again with a full basement that was finished as well, partially finished, sorry. 123 Hansart Boulevard is located in the older part of Tuxedo on a massive big lot that had, I think, 200 feet of frontage, if memory serves me right. Yeah, 200 feet of frontage on that one. It was it was 12 years old when it sold, and definitely in far superior condition to the subject property. And then 137 Hansart Boulevard, also located in Old Tuxedo, is on a corner site, but again, nice big lot, 175 feet of frontage, and the property was inferior for the size, but superior for again, had a full basement with finish as well. And that property was only 10 years old when it sold, so there was a previous sale on that one for $3 million. So at the end of the day, I looked primarily at the property at Kerrs Lake and Headingley and Deersley Place were the ones that I placed the most value on, or most weight on, and I would ask that the assessment be confirmed at $2 million.
Doug, questions?
Regarding the Deersley property, what street is it back onto?
I believe it's Shaftesbury.
Is there a fair amount of traffic on, do they suffer more traffic than the subject property?
For sure, it would have a inferior contributory value of the site, absolutely.
And the Headingley property, the 229 Empire, what's the lot size on that property?
Just over 1 acre.
The Hansard property, 123 Hansard, have you driven by the property?
Not in the last 9 months, maybe, I'd say, but I have. I have been past all of these properties after, shortly after they sold.
Okay. Is the yard, the lot size of the subject property quite a bit more than the majority of the sales comparisons?
On a size per size basis, yes, it appears that way. I guess if we look at the air photograph that you supplied, as well as you look on the site plan that is included in my hearing brief, this site plan as well, you can also see how close the dwelling is to the river, which, some would view that as a positive until there's a year like this year where we have high river levels and not knowing what's happening in the spring.
Okay. The photographs of the interior of the property, interior, exterior, how old are they?
I believe those were taken in 2017.
I have no other questions. Thank you.
Mrs. Zeller?
Yes, I just want to confirm, did you say the assessment for 2018 was $2 million?
That's right.
I'm also wondering, you indicate in your brief that there have been substantial renovations since 2007?
No, there were substantial renovations in 2007.
In 2007?
Renovations, or the additions were done in 2007. And some of the original parts were renovated as well, but not all of them.
Okay. I'm also wondering, these pictures were taken in 2017, you indicated.
Mm-hmm.
Has any work been done since 2017?
No.
I think that's all my questions, thank you.
Robert?
Yeah, I think just two questions. The photos that are attached, I'm just trying to clarify, there's one that says view of cottage. Is there a detached?
It's a guest house.
It's the original dwelling. It's used just for storage. It's not.
Okay, so it's not attached.
Yes. No, it's not. Yeah, if you look at the air photograph, actually the air photograph that the assessor provided probably
Right.
has the best view of it. It's this little building right up in here. So this is the main dwelling.
Oh, I see.
here.
Yeah. So the other question, just to clarify in my mind, the 2016 agreement to reduce the assessment to $2 million, is that right?
That's correct.
And you're asking for $2 million, so are you, by virtue of that, suggesting that there's been no increase in value in the property
That's right.
in the last 2 years?
These properties in this price range, a couple of different factors. First of all, there's far more of them than there ever have been in Winnipeg in the last 30 years in this price range. So people have a lot of options when they have $2 million to purchase a property. And often they either choose to build their own or buy a property and then renovate it to their own standards, which like the property at 649 Park Boulevard, I understand, although it was purchased for $1.35 million, apparently it's been undergoing renovations for the past year. This is not an unusual situation. There seems to be a lot of money in this town so I don't think that this property itself would have increased in value during that time period.
Okay, thank you.
The guest cottage, you said it's just being used for storage now? It's no longer, it doesn't have the visible walls in it anymore? They took them out, or?
Oh, I'm not sure that it's
yeah.
heated and plumbed and used year round is what I meant.
No, but it is used periodically. You don't know.
I don't.
Have you visited the property?
I didn't ask the question. I was in there many years ago.
So you haven't been in it lately?
In the cottage. I was in many years
How about the
ago.
building, the main building?
Building 2017.
So, what part of it did they redo in 2007?
If you look on the,
I'm looking at your plan.
yeah, so basically all of those, kind of shaded areas.
Yeah,
So the new garage and the upper living area was added. And
there's an
then-
upper living area on top of the
On,
garage,
on
right?
top of the garage,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the sunroom was
Yeah,
added.
and that's four season.
Yes, it is, yeah. And then there was a little addition to the kitchen.
Yeah. But they
And-
replaced everything in the kitchen when they did it.
Yes. And there was a little addition to the ensuite as well.
We'll see if you're a history buff. Do you know what the original address on this property was?
I've been in Winnipeg for a few decades, but I don't know that.
We'll see if Doug knows it. Do you remember what the original address was on this property?
Was it not number one?
Hmm?
Number one? at
Yeah,
one point?
what street? Robin Boulevard.
Oh, is that right?
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Good trivia. So
Um,
Roland
you
Boulevard
can-
actually used to go there? Did they move
No.
Roland Boulevard?
No, they put Ridgedale in
So
Okay.
with the
you've been
development.
Interesting.
around longer than us?
Hmm?
So-
Probably much. Who owns the property next door, Doug? Well, there's a vacant property next door, is there not?
Yes. same
And-
owner.
Same owner, no, but they've never appealed the taxes on that property?
Not that I'm aware of. It's a.
My question to you on this is, having the second lot, does that give them more of an advantage on this property for privacy, for future development? Because they've really got a double estate, a triple estate, correct?
That other lot next to it is a separate roll number.
Yeah,
So it could be sold off.
Could
as
be.
well.
just like the other ones were.
Maybe they're
I
gonna,
guess we need a little cash flow, you keep selling off lots, I
Sell
don't
off
know.
a piece.
If only I had those options.
Because they do encroach onto the property, do they not, with the badminton court
I
and
believe
the
so.
basketball court, it encroaches onto the second property?
I believe so.
Were you aware of that?
I knew a part of the structure itself was.
Yeah, part of the structure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're maybe gonna grow some crops out on that field and.
No crops on that bush.
Some timberland maybe.
When they did the renovations in 2007, what did they do with the heating system?
You're challenging me.
Mhm.
Let's see. Looks like it is a geothermal system.
Hmm. That must have been a big ticket at that time.
And
The,
unfortunately, they don't add a lot of value.
property that you brought from Tuxedo on Kersley,
Yeah.
it's about half the size, correct? It's less than half the size.
First Lake, no.
Third?
It's, First Lake is 7,218
Tiny.
square feet, plus there's an indoor pool on top of that.
So 7,000 square feet. How much would you increase the value of that property by if it was on an 80,000 square foot lot?
The adjustment that I would make. I don't have the exact dimensions in front of me of that lot, but I know it's on a corner as well. I'm going to guess at probably 400,000, 400,000 to 500,000.
And yet, you're saying they're $176, they're at $176 a square foot for the house, which includes the land.
Mhm.
If you were to add the 400,000 onto that value, you'd get 1.88. What does that come up to for your square footage dollars?
But then we also have to consider the fact that that property has a full finished basement as well.
So we'll take that off. Calculate it out. We don't need to do it.
Sure.
1.488.
So I would say it probably comes out to about $220
Yeah.
to maybe, but it's, you know, it's not really, that's not really how we do adjustments, like when you,
Well, how do you do adjustments for a larger lot? How would you,
we look at it as a contributory value,
right,
site over site.
so,
This is still a pretty desirable site, and often you see these properties in South Tuxedo that are selling nowadays for, you know, $700,000 or $800,000 or more, and then the house is either fully gutted or, you know, knocked down. And believe it or not, there's.
oops, just don't leave it. All your other samples are coming in at much higher per square foot values. Correct?
I don't believe in the price per square foot range. It just doesn't, it's not applicable in the residential market, especially where you have a home that is substantially larger than most properties. Normally that produces a lower per square foot.
Yes, it does. It doesn't make it irrelevant, it just tells you that it brings the value down.
Yeah.
So let's deal with size then. So because it's 9,000 square feet on the house,
Mhm.
what value would you put on it per square foot? Oh, but you don't believe in square footage.
That's why I came up, I have a value of $2 million.
Yeah.
Because I don't look at the price per square foot. It's not something.
So you were just.
Let's put it this way, I've never met a purchaser of a property that says, ooh, I'm going to pay $100 per square foot and not $105. People just don't look at a property that way. So in the residential world, I don't think that it's necessarily the most accurate way of estimating value for a property.
So you think it's more.
So I can do the mathematical
think it's-
calculation of what I believe, but at the end of
So
the
you
day, I
think,
didn't.
you think it's more the
consider-
sale?
It's the sale price, and then we look at those other factors that have an influence on the value, such as age, condition, and
Mhm.
basement finish, and, you know, location, contributory value of the lot. All of those items are very difficult to quantify on a price per square foot basis.
I'm good.
May I ask
Yep,
one more
you can,
question?
Gisela.
I'm just curious, so you want the assessment maintained at $2 million, which is what it was for the 2018 assessment, and you feel there has been no increase in value in this home and property since 2018?
For this particular property, yes.
Based on,
Because based on.
what is your
consider-
evidence? Because there's been an increase in these other properties that have been presented by yourself as well as presented by the assessor, so.
From 2016 to 2018, I don't believe that there was any change in the market value. in this type of property, for riverfront property that was below riverfront levels, that hadn't had any upgrades, that had, had no other improvements. There was a crazy amount of competition that on the market, in that time frame of brand new homes that were, maybe smaller, but were brand new, had none of the addition issues, had none of the issues that present when you have a riverfront property. So in this case, I don't believe that there was any increase in the value.
Okay, I'm good.
Robert, you're done?
In fact,
And you wanted to sum something up?
Yes, please.
You'll get a kick at the cat too.
The sales I supplied ranged from October 2015 to October 2017. With our analysis, we applied a time-adjusted sale price. For the appellant's sales comparisons, they ran from April 2015 to January 2017. It would be interesting if a time-adjusted sale price had been applied, because to the best of my knowledge, there has been a marked trend upwards. Just a comment, and regarding an inspection, maybe occasionally the Board of Revision members do inspections, so we should all offer to do an inspection. Thank you.
What's the time adjusted factor? You didn't give us the number.
On,
Time adjusted from, what's the percentage you're using? Is it by the year?
it depends on, yeah, it's based on the,
I know the model does it for you, but
right, there's a, for that area, I believe it was, I don't have the
You don't have the
map handy,
number, okay.
but there has been an increase.
Yeah.
In this part of the city, there was some pretty decent increases in Charleswood direction, so.
on with your summation.
thank you. There may have been an overall increase in values in the Ridgedale area, Charleswood area, and more generally speaking, between 2016 and 2018. However, I would challenge the assessor's opinion on the fact that there's, and the application of that being 9.2% on this property in this price range. So in the $300,000 to $500,000 price range, I don't disagree at all that there's been a 9.2% increase. But that same increase does not always apply across the board to every single property. Generally speaking, sure, don't disagree. But on a $2 million property that it has these other factors involved, I absolutely don't agree with that. And just on that note, if you look at comparable sale number 24 Deersley Place, that property actually sold in 2013 for $525,000, and then it sold in March of 2016 for $3.75 thousand. So we have a decrease in value over that trend now. I won't speak to who the owner was, because they could afford a couple, $100,000, and that doesn't really matter. Anyway, I guess just in summary, I think this property has some issues that that aren't present in the sales data that the assessor presented. The subject property being built below river and streams levels now is definitely something that a potential purchaser would take into consideration. Not to mention if they ever had to complete any type of erosion mitigation. I mean, we all know how expensive that can be on a price per foot basis, especially up against the river like that. And it is kind of on an erosion area. And you can see on the air photograph, it could easily be $500,000 to do this type of property. I just saw one recently the other day on River Road that had $250,000, and it was not well done. So anyway, I would ask that the board confirm the assessment at $2 million.
Thank you, Leslie.
Dina.
We enjoyed the lesson today.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
That's all we have this time. That was completed. Here's is number 11. Go to number 11 next, guys. Come on up. You're up. He's got the same haircut as you.
I think mine's a little shorter.
Yeah.
I don't have the size that you do.
I usually don't either.
Would you like to swear in or affirm with us?
Affirm.
Could you please state your name?
Name Paul Couture.
And do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence?
I do.
Thank you.
One end of the scale to the other.
Yes. Thank you.
Doug, when you're ready.
Roll number 0900809800. It's, majority of the property is a vacant lot. There's a garage, I believe it's a garage or a large shed on the property. I don't know the dimensions offhand, but there is some improvement on the property. Out Transcona south along Dougal Road. Lot size just under 2,800 square feet. As you're aware, Dougal is busy. There's a commercial properties, traffic. There's a variety of negative influences there. We have the property assessed at $80,000. The comparables, you'll see that 2 or 3 that are in the Transcona area comparables, 1 and 3, all vacant residential 1 properties. And those, in this case, the 3 comparables he supplied are actually vacant. There's no improvements on them. Canterbury's, Elmwood, Melrose residential, zoning. Got a range of square footage, 2,700 up to 12,000 square feet. And rate per square, or the sale price is 128,900, 90,000, 85,000. With the time adjustments, the rate per square foot from 11 up to $31 a square foot. We have the property again 80,000 or $28 a square foot. I believe you supplied a map of the location of the comparables. So there's a spread. I understand the supply, but we feel that it may sell for 80,000. We sold April 2018 for 80,000. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Couture?
I do have. For the comparable properties that you have, do you know the assessment value increase on those properties? How much they have increased by in terms of percentage?
We don't deal with assessment values, Mr. Couture. We only deal with land values on sales. We don't bring up anything to do with assessments, because assessments can be wrong. As yours could be wrong, they could be wrong. That's why we don't deal with them.
Okay. The information I have is my property is going up by 12.6%. And I'm trying to understand why there would be such a large increase in this property and if there's no other properties increasing for the same value.
That's a good question. We'll find out.
Okay.
How much has the area gone up by?
Vacant land has been, I don't carry all the stats, but vacant land, since the land is becoming wanted in the city of Winnipeg, people are paying pretty good money for vacant lots where development could occur. I'm sure the owner could correct me if I'm wrong, possibly an infill housing project could go in that lot, it's very narrow. Possibly one of the very narrow 16, 18-foot bi-levels could possibly slide in there if the property is not for sale, that's my guess, but just a general trend, vacant lots have been selling for more.
Would that not apply to future sales as opposed to past sales?
Sorry, I missed that.
Would that not apply to future sales as opposed to past sales?
The market has been going up over the past number of years. It's possibly today, I don't have the stats in front of me, maybe very well could be the vacant land sales have leveled off, but the reference date I have to look at is April 2018. I can't consider what's happening today. But in generally, prior to the 2018, the vacant land was going up in market value. People were paying pretty good money for vacant land, mainly for infill projects.
The, well, if I can do this, the assessment that I have for my 2016 assessment went up by 1.9%. The assessment value for 2018 is going up by 12.6%. I don't understand the change in value in the property unless something is going on to cause a general increase in value of that amount.
Just so I get this straight, understand what you mentioned, that's where the assessment was 70,000.
The assessment of 70,000 was for 2014 assessment, and the assessment for 2016 was for 71,000.
Okay. So for the 2016 assessment roll where it was reduced to 70,000.
That's 2014.
Right, April 1st, 2014 was reference date. The other number was April 1st, 2016. So we feel that the market trend over that 2 years has gone up. In this case, that's what the assessor that's applied sales, he felt that it may have sold for 80,000 around the current reference date.
I'm confused on the term when you say may have sold, when you say you don't deal with future
It
sales.
says may have sold because it hasn't sold, so they're saying this is the value, this is a market value, so it may have sold for that. You can prove him wrong now, when you make your presentation after. Right now, you can just ask your questions and we'll.
Yep. Okay. Well, that was trying to get my understanding so that we could figure out why the property was increasing in value. All right. I don't know if I can ask this question then. If the board rules in my favor, how will that show up on my file?
May I answer that?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what
You would, if it was reduced, you would get another form, same as the one that you supplied in your brief. It would be the same as that, showing that the assessment was 80,000, revised assessment, or no assessment change would show up on that.
When you get the paperwork, it'll show up.
How would that show up in my future assessments? How would it, what effect does that have on my future assessment?
Doesn't.
The revised value, if it is revised, it would apply for 2020 and 2021 for the 2021 tax bills. And then after that, this value would be discarded and start again.
Okay, so basically discard it and start them over again. Okay.
Any more questions? Robert, do you have any questions?
I think I had one, but I've lost it.
Gisella, do you have a question?
I have no questions at this time.
I'll come back to you now, Robert, because I'm sure you found it.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the parcel use codes. The one in, the applicant's property is RESOT, the others are different. What are the parcel use codes? I mean, you're providing them some kind of what they mean.
That parcel use code, res OT, that, tells you it's residential and the OT other. That means that it's a big residential lot with some other improvement on it, which would be the garage or shed. I assume it still exists, so. The other one's V-res, one that means they're vacant residential properties with no improvements at all.
Okay. And the zoning, large, medium, what do you understand that to mean?
The zoning in the subject property area, it's kind of like, I'll say, rural residential 5, where the property has to be a minimum of 5 acres. In this case, I don't know the square footage, possibly one knows. The general lot size is a certain size, whereas the medium, again, it's in a range. When it's small, it could be up to that 2,500 square feet. It's just the actual square footage of the lots that exist in that.
So this is kind of a larger lot designation, zoning designation, but the lot itself is smaller than the...
Right. A large lot would be possible. It just, in this case, it is a small lot that exists in...
Large lot.
Yeah. If
Okay,
possibly the neighboring property, I don't know if the owner wanted, or whoever lives next door wanted to merge the two
Right,
properties, then it would still fit into that large lot zoning.
But generally, based on the size of the lot, it probably couldn't, you couldn't get all the other, couldn't get the type of development that an actual large lot.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Width of the lot, do you know what it is?
Sorry.
The width of the lot.
So,
That's
25.
on his
Yeah,
information.
I know.
25. Yeah.
25 foot, right? And it's how deep?
Should be 110.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
Most of your rule setting lots wouldn't be that size, would they?
sorry.
This is more of a rule setting in that section?
Yeah,
In there?
it's a nice area. It's more like I grew up in a small town. It's similar, but the issue here is the traffic, the Dougal
Yeah,
traffic. There's commercial properties in the area,
Yeah.
so it's
right across the street, isn't there?
yeah. There's, I don't know if it's right across the street, but there's a variety of commercial. I didn't go out and inspect the property. Sorry.
Looks like it's behind it.
Hmm?
It looks like it's behind it on this map, but I don't.
I'm sorry, your
The
question?
Commercial.
Well,
development.
the commercials are basically, if you're looking at the assessor's map, if I can refer to that, when you're looking at Dougal Road, just above the word Dougal Road, or just to the side of it, looks like a little anvil type scenario.
Yeah.
That's the Euro malting plant. So
Oh, okay.
that's a malting plant, and the big area behind that would be Transcona Yards.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, there is a automotive dealership, trailer sales, that he uses for storage, garage services, but not for selling from. And across the street from that, there used to be a service station there, which is now sort of a small used car sales lot where if you have no money, if you have no credit, if you have no obligation, you can get a car.
And you have no car.
They have
We're gonna
cars,
have to put
yeah.
something into the entertainment factor. I swear I do. We're gonna hear your presentation now, Mr. Kutsuya.
I thank you, Mr. Chair, for hearing my appeal. If I can refer to the assessor's document, the map that you have there, just to reiterate the fact that it is a somewhat secluded area. It is isolated in the sense that Dougal Road, the highway, divides the area. We have the malting plant to the north of that and Transcona Yards to the north of that. Back in the day, it used to be very convenient to walk across this Transcona Yards to get to downtown Transcona to do your shopping. It's about a 3 or 4 minute walk. But CN closed that down, and now in order to go anywhere, we must either go to Plessis or to Maidenhurst to get back into downtown Transcona. Not Shore Walk anymore. To the east of us there is basically farmers' fields, so the white space that you have there is farmers doing farm work. So it is very much of a rural type setting. It is very idyllic from a pleasant point of view, but it seems to have negative drawbacks in terms of resale. In the front, in the picture that you're looking at for the property itself, what you see there is a 50-foot lot, of which I own 25 feet. As Doug mentioned, there is a building on there. It's a garage. It's a very small garage. It's a one-car garage, which was probably built somewhere in the late 40s, maybe even earlier than 40s. So it's not very new or very modern. Basically, it's more from a storage perspective than anything else. It is a wooden-based structure, and it does have a lot of age associated with it. So it's a 50-foot lot, but I only have 25 feet.
You don't own the whole 50 foot?
I do not. I only own the 25 feet.
But it's a 25-foot, it's two 25-foot lots.
Two 25-foot lots.
And it's got a house built on it?
No house. The garage, if you take a look at the garage portion there, that's a 25-foot where I own. The other open area, that house is across the street.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the picture from the back lane. So the open space that you see to the right is basically the 25-foot that I do not own, and where the tree and the back of the garage is, that's the part that I own, and it abuts my 50-foot home.
So you're saying you don't own this? And where's your home?
If we look at the bottom picture here,
Yeah,
so this garage here,
yeah.
I own 25 feet here, and then my house is here. Right
So
next
you
to
have another 25-foot lot on the other side?
50-foot lot, 50-foot, my home, 50-foot home on that side.
So you got a 50-foot lot on
And
the other
then
side of your
adjacent-
house, and this 25-foot lot has your garage on it.
It
So
has
it's
a
ancillary.
garage, it has a garage on it, yes, I have a
Yeah.
garage at the back of my 50-foot lot as
So
well.
this is ancillary to your property.
That's correct, that's correct.
Okay, now that makes a difference, you see.
Thank you.
But continue with your presentation. Did you catch that?
Yes.
I was trying to understand the value that the assessment department is placing on the property. I have no experience in this, so basically I needed to get someone who could help me understand the process. Because of the situation of the isolation of the lot, because we're more or less isolated from the city, even though we're part of the city, it's kind of a rural type setting. I contacted Hubert Lavoisier from Property Exchange Group. He's based out of Oak Bank and does a lot of rural sales, to ask him to come and give me a assessed value, or pardon me, to give me a value, a projected value of what this property would be worth. So on page 2 is the email that I got from Hubert with regards to my property. And if you notice in the first paragraph, he does mention the fact that the property is located in a very nice secluded area, similar to a rural country setting, and it is. Unfortunately, as he says, most of the buyers would not see this as a benefit, and this is reflected in the value of the property itself. He goes on in the next paragraph to stipulate what he believes he would put the property on the market for if he was trying to sell it, which is considerably less than what the assessment department has come up with. Page 3 is another contact that I made to Royal LePage Prime agent Jennifer Phillips, asking her for also a idea of what my property would be worth. Now I recognize that, first of all, I'm not asking them to provide information to be used at the hearing. It's not their job. I just said, if I was to sell it, what would you list it at? What would you put this on the market for? And in Jennifer's comments, if you look at her comments, basically she reiterates some of the same things that Hubert reiterated, that says the area tends to sell for less. There's very little sales taking place in the South Transcona area. People, when they move in there, don't want to move out, but getting someone to move in seems to be a challenge. In my 2014 assessment notice, I appealed the ruling that the assessment had. I appealed the assessment value that was there.
Yes,
That's
I
on
was
page
here.
4 and 5. That was on page 4 and 5.
I was here for that appeal.
I thought I recognized you, but
Oh, yes, I-
the information that I got, again, back at that day, almost mirrors the information that I got from the two real estate agents that I talked to this time. I was hoping to pick up some actual values and properties, but the agents told me that that information has become confidential. It's treated as confidential information. So getting the fact of finding comparable listings, getting how long they were on the market for, getting what they were asking for, what they sold for, seems to be more of a challenge, and I couldn't really pursue them too far without going into a lot of details. But I think Jennifer did summarize there that she says that there are lots that have been selling for between $71,000 and $75,000, depending upon location, and they consider north of the Transcona yards to be a much better selling than south of the Transcona yards.
Are you finished? Questions, Doug?
The estimates that the appraisers gave you, or agents, was that their estimate of what it would sell for right now?
That's correct. Well, let me back off. Based on the dates, like essentially they are looking at it as of the dates of the email. So May for Jennifer and November for Hubert. If he was to put it on the market today, he would say that that's the price we should put it on the market for to entertain proper value. I asked them, how about putting on the market for $85,000? He said, we'll never get a bite on it.
Just so I get my records correctly, do you live next door, like here?
I do.
Okay. And regarding the garage, is it usable for, can you put your Cadillac in there, or is it safe enough for, or is it mainly storage, just like, could it be used as a garage still?
Yes, I mean, the Cadillac would fit. But yes, if I have something small enough, I maintain the roof so that the building is dry and secure.
Okay. So
yes.
it's in use and not an unsafe?
And that's correct.
Okay. Okay, and any intention on selling the property? Is that why the agents, appraisers gave you the numbers? Plan on marketing it, or?
I didn't have a way of finding out what the value would be in that area without talking to someone who was in the business. So I asked the question, if I was to put it on the market, how would they list it? What value would they list it for? I'm no longer 25. And at some point in time, I'm going to have to decide to do something with the property. It's just a matter of when. So,
Okay.
yes, it may go on the market, just don't know when.
Thank you. I
The
have
whole
no other
thing.
questions.
Gisela?
Have you ever tried to sell the property?
No.
I think that's all my questions.
Robert?
Yeah, two questions, maybe more, but two. Across the road, there's what appears to be a large lot that what's across the street, to the east, no, to the west of your property?
West of my property is essentially a bush area. Essentially, I believe the city has that area designated for a, I don't know, for park or for, or
Okay.
something on, but that's been there since day one.
Okay. Another question is, the note from Jennifer Phillips, she says your 25-foot lot is likely to sell between 70 and 74. because of the potential for two lots being acquired by the purchaser. Now, is that, what do you make of that? Is that, if you could offer up, if the property, and there is an adjacent lot, or because there is a potential for two lots?
Yeah, that was an interesting question. I had asked Jennifer in this case, I said, would I be better, like, would I be able to do better if I was to buy the other lot and sell it as two separate lots or one large lot? So that was the comment that she made back. Yes, as two lots, it's more attractive to a developer. What her comment was, because now they can develop two houses on those lots. But
So,
I don't own the lot.
okay, so that, but there, it would mean buying this lot for 70 or whatever, and then there would be an adjacent lot, they could, let's say, the same price, so then it becomes a
50-foot lot.
Okay. Now, there's a third question. South Transcona had been historically subject to flooding,
Correct,
spring runoff.
correct.
There's been some work done to alleviate that. Is this area in any way subject to seasonal flooding anymore?
The any more question would be the challenging part to answer. You are correct, the area has been severely flooded, not just potentially flooded, but severely flooded several times in the past. Several years ago, the work through the city with, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
The lake.
I'm sorry?
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, essentially a retention pond was built up on Murdoch Road, and the water was diverted to the retention pond. And since then, we have not had the major threat, it's been closed, but we have not had the major threat of having flooding in the area. But at the same time, we haven't had the torrential downpours that we had with the last flooding that occurred either. So in the one of the major flooding areas that we had, I mean, we had the 2-day or 3-day rain event, which brought in volumes of water which could not be handled by the area. That's before the lake was put up, or the retention pond was put up.
So the 50-foot lot that your house is on,
Yes,
is that a single lot 50-foot, or is it two 25-foot lots?
a single lot, one single 20.
So the 25-foot lot is, are they common in the area, do you know, or are they most?
I'm thinking, well, I would not necessarily say common, but I'm aware
Not
of at least
unusual?
four 25-foot lots in the area that are adjacent to a 50-foot lot.
Okay. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
And there is water and sewer in that area now.
Correct.
That was one of the improvements.
Yeah, that happened before I moved in 72. Qualico Development came in and the following year and put up houses in the entire area.
Yeah, the other side, they put the houses on the other side, didn't they?
They put houses on both sides. The area that I'm on, the block that I'm in, when I moved in there was three homes on that block only. One on the corner, mine in the center, and one not quite on the corner down south.
And then Qualico put the rest in.
Qualico put the rest in on both sides of the street and basically developed the entire area.
So those are all newer homes.
Newer in that they're mid-70s, if you classify it as newer, yes.
And that's what drove your value of your property,
Back then,
because they were selling lots back then at a
yes.
good price.
I know Qualico approached me to buy the property. If I remember correctly, the price that they were offering then was in the 30,000 or 25,000 price range, but I don't know a long time ago. But after that, there's been no development in the area.
So you've got the three, and there's one vacant lot next to that one as well?
The vacant lot next to my lot, correct? Yes.
So you got the one lot that's 50 feet?
No, well, okay, I got the 50-foot where my home is on.
Yep.
I have the 25-foot next to my home, and then there's a 25-foot adjacent to that. That's it.
No, but there's two 25-foot lots.
Correct, correct,
And you own just one of them, somebody else owns the other one.
correct,
No partnership.
correct. My understanding is the city owns that lot.
They do?
Yeah.
So no partnership.
Sell them this one.
Selling this one for 85,000?
Well, yeah. See if they'll bite.
I would,
You'll notice though, they didn't go as high as they were back in 2016.
I did
They
notice
didn't
that.
go all the way to the 85.
I noticed, I did notice that, yes. Yes, I did notice that.
And you know that 5,000 or so dollars doesn't make a big difference on the tax bill.
The 5,000, no, but the 15,000 does.
Yeah, but they're at
80.
80 now.
85, yes.
No, they're at
I'm
80 right now.
And I'm at 71.
No, he's at 80 though. And you're saying it's worth up to about 75, so it's about a $5,000 difference.
Oh, okay, so yes, the real estate agents are saying up to 75, yes, but that's also not 2018 prices.
Well, that's 2019.
Yes, yes. Yes. Now, I don't know if if the information that I provided at the appeal board when 2015, the prices that the agents provided me back then were almost akin to this one. I think 73,000 was the maximum that they had, and now they're saying 75.
Okay, I've got no further questions. Anything else? Nothing in summation? Thank you very much, Mr. Couture.
Thank you.
Ça me fait plaisir.
Merci beaucoup.
À la prochaine. Un autre deux.
I'm hoping it will not become a permanent fixture.
You're always welcome to come back, but you know, you gotta remember, it's probably not saving as much as your $50 every time you come, so. But we are a fun group to come visit.
You are. Very entertaining, and the preceding presentation was very educational.
There you go, see?
I'm not too well liked, so I appreciate that.
You have a job to do, and it's a necessary job.
Yeah. Yes.
And he does do a great job of it, I must say. Let's move back to our agenda now, shall we? I do believe we're going back to number 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Going to the beginning?
Oh, do you want, I guess we should go outside and talk. Because they don't want us making decisions on this stuff until we've had a discussion.
Oh, yeah, right.
There's one other property that's,
Oh, you got a deal on it?
yeah,
Which one?
284 Kingsford.
Kingsford, number 9. Okay, bring it up. Bring up number 9.
Phone number 040001560000. Had a discussion with the property owners, some issues. Here's the sales comparisons and my recommendation, and an email.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, who you can say?
An email from the owner saying
Accepting
they
it.
accepted the recommendation.
Okay. So the rec was 380.
Yes. And the second page, it should be their email.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's there. Thank you very much for your presentation, sir.
Okay.
Now we're going to just take a 5-minute break, believe it or not. Number 9 is that one.
So number 5 is the
Number
first
5
one?
will be the first one,
5.
which is 890 Garwood. When you're ready.
Hayes 90 Garwood, roll number 12020871100. The 2020 assessment value $328,000. I request that value be maintained.
Okay. Next property will be 155 Douglas Park, which is number 7 for us.
Roll number 070404350000. 2020 assessment value $515,000.
Read his recommendation onto the record.
the owner was made aware of the 15-1 reply wasn't received. And
But the bot,
suggesting that the value be adjusted, but an agreement wasn't supplied to us. The owner possibly changed his mind or discarded the issue. So I request the assessment be maintained, the 2020 roll.
but on the paper, it does say that the owner did accept it, correct?
Verbally.
Verbally.
Verbally, yes, but for officially to take place, the guidelines are the 15-1, section 15-1 of the Municipal Assessment Act is signed.
And it
by
is
the
not
owner,
signed.
by the property owner.
Okay. No 15. Good. (752) Flora, which is number 8.
Roll number 14002746000, 752 Flora, 2020 assessment roll 322,000. We request that the value be maintained.
Thank you. Number 10.
945 Dugas. Roll number 060210345000. Assessment 408,000. We request that the value be maintained.
That was did we do Kingsford?
Sorry?
Did we do Kingsford?
That's
Kingsford was
the
the
recommendation.
recommendation.
That's the rec, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I request that 408,000 be maintained for 2020 roll.
Okay. And Kingsford was the rec. Did we read it onto the record though? I don't think we did.
Yeah.
We did read the record? The rec?
We did, I think we did that.
I think you did.
before
Yeah.
we
I've got notes here.
Yeah.
I know you got notes, but I don't remember it being read onto the record. I'm sorry, Dan. And I'll tell you after.
Kingsford?
Number 9.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah, read it, just
Just
to make me happy.
Roll number 0400015600. The 2020 assessment value, 434,000. Had a discussion with the property owner, bringing up some issues that we were unaware of. Requesting that the assessment be reduced to 380,000 to better reflect the reference period of April 1st, 2018, and an attached email accepting the value is
That's
supplied.
right. Yeah, we got it. Thank you. That concludes the matter. Shut it all down. I'll tell you in 1 second.